Hey guys, I'm Carl, and I'm here at Jenkinson's Aquarium in Point Pleasant, New Jersey on the day after Christmas. And let's take a look and see what they have inside.
It's all raised. We have some sharks too, that's hiding in the back. That's right. Not so bad. Unless you got lotions or sunscreen and sanitizer, then we keep getting washed out. They come up over
Kind of slow for a bit, so.
Are they being lazy?
Yeah. Mommy, you want to go on the left?
There's somebody
Against the... Yeah, it's so interesting. You see those fish? You see those fish? You see fish?
Look at that fish right there.
I know, there's one down there. Do you see it? Do you see it?
Shark feeding, which is a large number of sharks, will be starting any minute now. So to kick us off, I can start introducing you to our exhibit. So this is our largest exhibit here at Jenkinson's Aquarium. It contains 58,000 gallons of water and is about 20 feet deep. And it contains a few different kinds of shark and fish species. So in the wild, sharks like these will wind up eating about once a month, and some sharks will even go for longer.
You have a nice little fish.
Would not be enough for a person, that's plenty of food for a shark. Now, when we do feed our sharks here, as you can see, we feed them using a long pole. And sometimes sharks aren't interested in food, but that's okay. We're able to feed them using a bowl instead of just throwing the food into the water is for two reasons. One is that it helps us keep track of what our sharks are eating. With a lot of fish, the best way to tell how an animal is doing health-wise is how much they're eating. So we keep close track of what our sharks are eating. We actually have a person upstairs, if you're watching from our Pine Barrens area, who has a clipboard up by our feeders, and they're keeping track of what our sharks are eating. If a shark decides to eat a lot more or a lot less than they normally do, that's usually a sign that something's changing about their health, so that way we can give them a little checkup and see how they're doing. The other reason we use target feeding is to minimize aggression between the sharks, and also so that the fish don't steal the food. Believe it or not, the fish in here are very fast, so they can often outswim our sharks. So this way we can make sure that the sharks do something to eat. made out of cartilage, which is the same substance in our nose and ears, and that keeps sharks very lightweight and flexible for their size. Fun fact, that's also why you don't find many shark fossils. Cartilage tends to break down faster than bone, so that's why even though we know sharks have been around for millions of years, most of the time only teeth are found.
Saw that coming in.
So awesome. Oh, you just got a little piece. Did you see?
Now, our sharks are getting a few different kinds of fish to eat. We tend to give our sharks herring, mackerel, bunker, butterfish, and squid. And because sharks, all of these sharks do eat fish primarily, sharks are very full.
This one.
Because they eat so often for sharks, they aren't very hungry to go chasing after the fish. And the other thing is that sharks are what we call opportunistic feeders, which is a scientific way of saying that they're a little bit lazy. They like to chase after fish that are already sick or injured, so that way they don't have to work as hard trying to chase after them. All of the fish in here are very strong and healthy and fast, so the sharks don't want to chase them around if the fish is just going to keep swimming away. So that way the sharks and fish can live together in the same tank.
How did it eat?
And our sharks do have a lot of different senses that they can use to check if a fish is healthy or sick. One is that they have a very good sense of smell. They can actually smell a little bit of blood in a body of water as big as a swimming pool, so they can check that way. They also do have a decent eyesight and hearing, but they tend to rely more on their sense of smell, and also a sense that's unique to sharks and their cousins like rays and scales, called the ampullated lorenzini. You can actually see something if you look very closely along the shark's nose and mouth. They appear almost like little freckles. And those are little sensors that let the shark feel electromagnetic pulses in the water, which is given off by different objects and also any animals that are alive in the ocean. And a fish that is sick, of course, swimming differently than they normally would register to the shark differently as a healthy fish would. So that's part of the ways they can tell the shark is solid or fish.
That's definitely a jack.
That's a jack. The little ones are blue runners, and they are in the jack family. And the big ones are ball jacks, and they're definitely a jack.
Now, despite the shark's scary reputation, humans really don't have to worry about these guys. Sharks on average only hurt about 5 people a year.
Those two do. Those are sandbars. They're the most
Cases
active.
of sharks biting humans are usually cases taken by while sharks do have all those really good senses I just described in order to find their food, sometimes they can get a bit confused. And the easiest way for sharks to tell something is with their teeth.
But those ones up there are normally down at the bottom. So feeding time they go up, but they're the ones that like rest on the bottom. Those are the nervous sharks, exactly. Then we toss the food and they just help themselves.
And occasionally people confuse sharks by
No, he didn't get bit. She's got a weird lesion that we're trying to heal up on her nose. She's got like a hyper weird reaction to everything. We gave her a vitamin shot once
And
it got weird. So it's just it's an old lesion healing up. That's a nerve
usually
shark.
after taking the test bite,
Yeah,
sharks will
she's
usually
a
swim
weird
away
color.
because we are not their primary food source.
Oh, maybe it's just the light.
No, she's like a
And
purple
even
color.
with
Yeah, I've
this,
never
actually
seen
like
it.
dark
we really
purple.
don't have to worry
Yeah.
about sharks. Like I said before, only about 5 people a year are hurt by sharks, which means you're more likely to get hurt by a toaster, a TV,
Well,
a vending
she's
machine,
actually our
and a
smallest.
toilet than you are by a shark.
When I went like
Unfortunately,
I've never seen them that
That
big.
big. Maybe you're just like more like the nursery grounds or the juveniles. That one's scary. I don't like that.
one has to do with pollution of
That's
always
plastics in
dead.
the ocean.
We give them dead.
Plastic and other pollutants tend not to break
nothing
down
wrong.
for a very long time, if at all.
We get squid, we get bunker, mackerel, herring, sometimes clams.
So a lot of top predators like sharks, seals, and whales
They're faster than sharks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When
have
they're small.
better traces in their
Well, and you feed them. So if we didn't feed the sharks, they would go up there. And if any of the fish get injured or slaughtered,
They look there too? Which keeps track of what seafood is, sustainable to eat.
them up.
Big shark.
Look at all those sharks above your head. Look at them. Whoa.
Look at that. Look at that big
If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask myself or any other staff member here.
shark. Lots of big
And hope you enjoy your day.
See that big shark? Big shark.
You don't need to. Who dressed you that?
No. Get away.
They can't get you right behind the glass.
See that shark too.
That's not its mouth.
It's like gills or whatever.
I make a nice dinner.
Look at this big fish. Look at this big fish. That fish is bigger than you. That's a big fish. Look at those big fish. Let's see who's over here.
No, I'm excited. I know, I want to see the
Just like you drop the piece, just like you do when you eat. Messy. This is swamp.
There's some in the back. Look at that crab.
Well, that's a giant precaution. A lung.
Oh, those are nasty. Are you sure?
You don't have to jump out.
Yeah, she's gonna eat some.
They get little. Sometimes they get to watch them. They're pretty cool to watch them.
I see 3 kids.
Look at the turtle.
4 kids.
See him? On the rock? Oh, there's one. Oh, there's a baby. Look at the baby.
Jason, I see penguins. I found
Not yet.
The other one's down here. Over there.
We saw them eating before.
Oh, there's another one. Here's one, Isla. Look, that's moving around.
Look, the rocks.
Where are the otters?
Be there, right?
Yeah.
Present condition, not counted. So what is the painting period that was needed to follow? Not counted.
Bert's wife? Bert's wife's right in there.
That one right there that's looking at the two penguins in the nest box, that's where
Really?
black beads on.
I'm going upstairs.
Stop.
Maybe Bert's sleeping up in there.
What? They all have their own nest boxes. So, like, once they get married, they, like, choose, like, a house, basically. Like, the penguins get married by giving each other an object, like a rock, a stick, or something, and they stay together for, like, literally monogamous.
Alright, you're done looking over here?
Alright, upstairs then.
Even though we didn't find Bert? Alright, let's go upstairs.
Get upstairs.
Where's Aubrey?
Bobby. Where's Aubrey?
Look at the moms in there together.
They're so cute.
She's swimming.
They're walking and walking.
Look, okay, I'm right behind you. I'm right behind you. I'm right behind you.
I want to go see under.
Okay, thank you too.
Mommy, I see two. Two penguins. Oh, the one up top.
It's the same one.
Oh,
Is this one gonna come in there too?
well, now wait a minute. I'm gonna say.
Some other stuff. We should always come back. You want to come back to it? Mommy?
There's a guy.
Alright, well, I'm going upstairs. Kenzie's upstairs. We'll go upstairs. There you go. Let's go upstairs with everybody else. Yeah. Go penguins. Oh, go penguins. Are they flying?
Oh, I want to go in.
Let's see if he gets to rubber ducky.
He's going.
Can you see him swimming?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Like, they're like staying on like the top. You'll be able to see, right? Yeah, they move fast.
Also, yeah, Adam. They're actually really cool. Adam. Nick, over here. Adam. You don't want I'm sorry.
Jellyfish. Big jellyfish, aren't they?
Mama, I found jellyfish! Oh, John, look at
I never would have found that frog by myself. It's so shiny. Yeah. Why is he up in the corner like that? Do you think he's hiding? Maybe. Is that another frog?
Is there anything else over here you want to tell me? Would you lay on your back?
Clear.
Underwater. You can't pick it up, okay? Everybody just touch.
I see another one.
There's lots of them, right?
You're so lucky, Claire. How do I get a job here?
Alright, just put in an application.
Alright, I'll just put down Claire.
Just put down Claire, right?
I'll take you up on it.
I mean, you really have to like it, but
Yeah. I'm sure it's a lot of work.
it is a lot of work. It's a lot of, this is the fun part. Yeah.
That's because you put all your hands
But it is. It's a great job. You know, when you wake up and you say, all right, what do you want to do?
touch the surface. Go
I
ahead.
didn't know.
Yeah, you did great.
One more time, Chris.
Yeah, but this is the type of job. I know, it's like puncher,
Want to
right?
touch it again?
There's 1, 2, 3, sir.
No, you don't want to touch it again? Yeah. So I don't get all wet. Two fingers. No, don't pick her up. Right, you touch that.
Yes, one of them has, says he has a band on his left leg. Yeah, I believe he would need a pencil, don't you?
Poncho! What is that one say poncho? And it's a lot shorter.
What? I never saw it. Nothing.
Wait, I want the rainbow one.
He looks like he looks like he looks like a wall.
Mine's scarlet.
Yep, let's keep going. Where is it?
Oh, goodness. There's more pots over there. Oh, I see him. Look at these little ones over here. Look at them all. Look at these flowers over here. Like they look fake.
Dark frogs. Gotcha.
A sloth. Isn't that the...
Mom's your favorite animal. You let her walk in this? It doesn't. No, it's that's like for a moment.
If there's one more fish, can analyze
Excuse
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, we're gonna go right around this way. You can find them this way. Have great hearing, so sudden loud noises do kind of frighten him. For like, you'll see he'll jolt if he hears something very loud. And yeah, we're gonna talk to you guys a little bit about him. If you guys have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and ask.
Carrots.
Yes, we're eating carrots today. Not our favorite food, but yes, it seems to be working, and he's eating it, so that's good.
I'm sure if you like carrots too much today, right? It's fine.
Yes, his favorite thing in the whole world is squash, but we don't have any today with the holiday and everything. Okay, so. Okay. My name is Nicole. This is Kim. I know you guys are here to meet Wally. You're not here to meet us. But we'll talk to you a little bit about him, give you a little bit of information about him, and about sloths, about Wally, about why he's here, and everything like that. If you guys can just do me a favor, go take a seat, okay? So Wally is a two-toed sloth. We actually just, his DNA results, he is a Linnaeus two-toed sloth. So that's his specific species that he is. So there's two different types of sloths in the world. There's two-toed sloths and three-toed sloths. Two-toed sloths have two toes on the front, but they actually also do have three toes on their back feet as well. Three-toed sloths, the difference is that they have three in the front and three in the back. So the only really difference between the two is that the two-toed sloths have that one less toe in the front. Also, three-toed sloths have that fun like raccoon stripe across their eye, looks like eyeshadow. So that's another like physical difference between them. Okay, so sloths are a type of mammal, just like we are. They have hair all over their bodies. They give birth to live babies like we do. They have lungs. They have a 14-bird heart. All that good stuff. Now, a lot of people ask us if sloths are related to monkeys because they kind of have that funny monkey face. And they hang out in trees. No pun intended. They literally hang out in trees. But they're actually more related to like anteaters and armadillos than they are monkeys or anything like that. And they also are completely designed to be upside down as well. So he will not choke on his food when he eats upside down because that's the way his body is designed. All of his organs, everything internally is upside down as well. He actually has, they have locking mechanisms in their wrists. So that way when they're hanging upside down in the trees, they won't fall out of the trees. They stay locked in.
Go around the back. Go around the back. For a couple hours. With a mermaid.
The turtles?
We're going to go look downstairs. Alright, hon, we're going down.
Does he really
It's only a legend.
Yeah, it was in the back. That's where they got the New Jersey Devils?
Yes, that's what they got. Yes.
Let's go.
All right. Is that good? What about Danny? Do you want to get
I'm a
pictures?
kitty cat show.
Want a picture, Dan, or no?
What? Wait, I'm a kitty cat. I was a cat. By a puppy.
You want to get a picture of the short?
The rest of our aquarium guests. So right now our feeders are feeding 18 of our African penguins, and as their name implies, they are penguins that are found in Africa along its southern coast. So contrary to what a lot of people believe, most penguins prefer the warm weather over the cold weather. There are 18 different species of penguins, and only about 4 of them live in the cold all year round. So where these African penguins come from in southern Africa, they can be anywhere between 50 to over 100 degrees, so they will never see snow out in the wild. If you took an African penguin and you stuck them in the middle of Antarctica, they would freeze to death. It would be much too cold for them. So penguins live all over the southern hemisphere, south of the equator.
They're getting fed right there.
You can find them in Africa, Australia, New Zealand, South America, Antarctica, and the Galapagos Islands. However, you will never find them living north of the equator in the wild, which we like to call the imaginary penguin fence. For some reasons, penguins stop at the equator, and you will never find them in the wild north of it. The only way you will ever find a penguin north of the equator is if you visit them in a captive setting, such as in a zoo or an aquarium. Now, even though this time of year you might see commercials by Coca-Cola showing penguins and polar bears hanging out and drinking soda, that's actually not correct because penguins and polar bears live on opposite sides of the earth, so they will never meet out in the wild. Now, right now we're feeding our penguins a few different things. We usually start off with squid first. They kind of act like squid is broccoli, however. It is very healthy for them, but they are very picky when it comes to their squid. So it's like trying to get your kids to eat their vegetables. Now the squid is healthy for them and it has a high water content. The reason why they don't like the squid is not because of the taste, it's actually because of the texture. Penguins don't have taste buds, so they base everything that they eat off of what the texture is like. So most of them are not the biggest fan of the rubbery texture of squid. After we feed out the squid, we'll move on to a fish called capelin, which is what you can see our feeders are feeding out now. So capelin is kind of like the meat and potatoes of our penguins' diets. It provides them with a lot of energy, and it makes up the bulk of what they eat. And the last thing that we give our penguins is a little oily fish called zoo smelt. This is like their dessert. So it's not the healthiest fish for our penguins, but they do really enjoy it. So when we do bring the zoo smelt out for them to eat, you'll see most of our penguins will go nuts over it. However, just like you would wait till after eating a healthier dinner to move on to dessert, we do the same thing with our penguins. So we'll make sure they fill up on the healthier squid and capelin first,
then once they've mostly filled up on the healthier stuff, then we'll give them a little bit of their dessert fish at the end. Now this is all restaurant quality food that comes to us frozen, and then we thaw it out for our penguins to eat. However, when you freeze seafood, it tends to lose some of its nutritional value. So once a day, we do have to fortify their food with vitamins to make sure our penguins stay happy and healthy. However, they don't really even understand they're getting these vitamins because they swallow their food whole. So they use their beak to grasp onto the fish, and once they get a good grasp, then they'll swallow it. They can swallow a fish that's as long as the white spot on their belly, as long as it's no wider than their
Sorry.
beak.
You're okay.
Now you'll notice all of our penguins have bracelets on their wings. This is kind of like their name tag, and it helps us to identify them. If you see the bracelet on the left wing, it means that that penguin is a female, and if you see it on the right wing, it means that that penguin is a male. There's no way to tell the difference between a male or a female penguin just by looking at them. So when we have one hatched at our aquarium, we'll take a little blood sample from their foot, send it to the lab, and then they'll let us know whether we have a male or a female. Once we find out, then we'll put their beads on the appropriate wing. Most of our penguins did hatch here at Jenkinson's Aquarium. The ones that did hatch here will have 3 different bead colors. So they'll have 2 beads that are the same color, and that's that individual penguin's color. So it's like their signature color. When we see that color, it means that penguin. The other 2 beads are their parents' colors, the 3rd bead being the father's and the 4th bead being the mother's. However, not all of our penguins hatched here. We do have some penguins that actually came from different facilities. So these penguins will either have 3 beads that are all the same color or 4 beads that are all the same color. So just by looking at a penguin's beads, you can tell whether they're a male or a female. You can figure out whether they hatched here or at a different facility. You can figure out who their parents are, and you can also try to see if they have any siblings or any offspring of their own. Now we do have a few penguins in this exhibit who look a little bit different from everybody else. We have one penguin who's more of a lighter gray color. She usually likes to hang out on the right side of the exhibit over by the rocks, but she might be coming over to get some food at some point. So her name is Jewel, and she is our oldest penguin. She is 32 years old. African penguins live to about 15 to 18 years in the wild, and they can live to about 30 to 40 years in captivity. The reason why Jewel looks like this is because she had a bit of a molting problem. Every year penguins go through something called a molt, which means that they lose all their feathers and they grow new feathers back in. This process usually takes a few weeks. So they molt every year. However, since Jewel is quite old, it takes a little bit longer for her molting process. So she hasn't molted in quite a while. It's been a few years since she's actually had a successful molt. So the feathers that you do see on Jewel is her downy layer that helps to keep her warm. However, she is missing her black and white waterproof layer. Now just because Jewel looks like this, it doesn't necessarily mean she's unhealthy. She still has a bit of a diet. She loves to eat capelin. And she also loves her dessert, the Zoosmal. She does go swimming in the water, but not quite as much as she used to because she doesn't have her waterproof layer. So the penguins need their waterproof layer of feathers to stay dry when they go swimming. So when Jewel goes swimming, because she lacks this layer, it takes a lot longer for her to dry off than the other penguins. So she'll go for a swim maybe about once a week. And towards the middle of our exhibit, you'll see 3 other penguins that look a little bit different from everybody else. They're more of a silvery grayish color rather than black and white. This is because these are our juvenile penguins. So their names are Kai, Lilo, and Stitch. They hatched earlier this year, only about late January, early February. So they're all less than a year old. So they still have their baby feathers right now. However, once they reach about 1.5 years of age, they'll molt and they'll lose those feathers and grow back their adult black and white feathers. considered a species of bird. So just like all other birds, they have beaks, feathers, wings, and lay eggs. However, unlike a lot of bird species, penguins do not fly. There's a few different reasons for why this is the case. One of them being they are simply too fat and heavy. This is because of their bone structure. Now, birds that fly have hollow bones that makes them very lightweight, and it allows air to travel through those bones. Penguins, however, have bones that are more similar to ours, so their bones are much more dense and solid. Now, because of their bone structure, their bones make them too heavy to fly. So our penguins weigh about 5 to 8 pounds. If you compared that to our parrots upstairs, they're about the same height. However, our parrots weigh only about 2 pounds. Now, even though penguins can't fly because they're too fat and heavy, this doesn't bother them because they get all their food from the ocean. So because their bones are much more dense, it allows them to be able to swim very deep in the water in order to catch fish. If penguins didn't have bones like this, they wouldn't be able to dive very deep. They would only pop back up to the surface, kind of like if you see a seagull diving to catch fish. However, even if penguins did have hollow bones, and even if they were able to dive those great depths, the water pressure would actually be too strong for hollow bones to handle and could actually crush them. So even if our penguins don't fly, it's very beneficial for them to have those solid, dense bones. Now, the second reason why penguins can't fly is because of their feathers. Their feathers are very, very tiny, but they do have a lot of them. So you'll find about 70 to 100 feathers per square inch on a penguin. So they are covered in tens of thousands of tiny little feathers. However, again, if you compare that to our parrots upstairs, our parrots only have about 6 to 8 feathers per square inch. But our parrots have very long feathers, which enable our parrots to fly. Now, even though their feathers are very tiny, they are still very important for our penguins. They have their downy layer that helps them to keep warm, and they have their waterproof layer which helps them to keep dry. Even though in southern Africa, where these penguins live, it's very warm, the water can still be quite chilly. So they need their feathers to protect themselves when they go swimming in the water to catch their food. Especially since penguins spend about 70% of their time in the water. Now, African penguins are considered an endangered species of penguin. This means that they are in danger of becoming extinct in the near future. There are many different reasons as to why this is the case. One of them is habitat destruction. These penguins live on the same beaches in South Africa that a lot of people like to go to. So coastal development has been pushing them off of their natural habitat. So this means that there is less space for these penguins to live, and they have to resort to nesting out in the open.
Isabella?
Pollution that can affect penguins, one of them is oil spills. Even though oil spills don't happen very often, they are very catastrophic when they do happen. When an oil spill occurs, the oil can fill the penguin's feathers, and it can make it very difficult for them.
It is.
No, it is, but I was referring to the from keeping the penguins warm.
Come over here with me, here's some things.
So this means they can actually suffer from hypothermia if they do get coated in oil, because their feathers are no longer able to keep them warm, especially in the cold water. It can also make it very difficult for the penguins to swim if they are bogged down with all of the
What about it through?
They clean themselves through a process called breeding. This means that they take their beak and rub it through their feathers like a comb to try to straighten them up. However, if they do